So a lot of you are probably wondering, Rob, didn't you say you wanted your 100th video for Season 7 to be a live stream review? And yes, I did. But I figured 101 is also significant to Disney because it's, 101 Dalmatians. And for Season 7, I did 2 additional live streams, and I also made smaller edited reviews. So I figured I'd do one more small edited review, so it's 101 video. And, the live chat was fun. I got to talk to so many of you guys. So many of you tuned in. I had a great time. Joe and I had a great time discussing it. And for those of you who said, who is Joe? I assume you must be newer to the channel. For seasons 4 through 6, almost every one of my reviews was live streamed with him. He's a fan of the show. He's one of my really good friends. He came to visit me for my graduation. So it was really fun to do that with him because him and I have done, the old episodes. And we barely got to do the episodes for 7 because of the time shift of, from Sunday to Friday. So I really figured it would be a good idea to do one more condensed video because there was a lot to discuss. Because in that live stream review, there were things that I just didn't get to say. You guys had a lot of questions as well. Please reiterate them in the comments below. I'll do my best to respond to them. And I think I did get a good chunk of them in my notes as well. And I had to make notes. So for the live stream, I didn't have notes. I just was talking to him and talking to you guys. And so I think some things got thrown away. But I really want to talk about this episode because I was very happy with it. But as I said in my live stream review, and a couple of my ideas or thoughts are still going to be the same from the live stream. So please bear with me with that. But a couple of thoughts I have on this episode, I gotta say, in comparison to the Season 6 finale to this, I really liked the Season 6 finale, though I loved the ending with the Dark Curse, or the Light Curse, whatever you want to call it, how it merged all the realms together. I kind of wish that was incorporated in the 6th finale, in the idea of bringing everyone together. I think that would have been really beautiful. But I just think the 6th finale was so much better because the ending of 6 really shows how much they cared, because in 7, and I'm going to talk about this in more detail, the finale barely touched upon Jacinda and Lucy, and poor Tiana had a cameo, and they didn't even have Naveen, and they didn't talk about the ramifications of Mother Gothel, and Drizella wasn't mentioned. Like, it's just very jarring that a whole season that was hyped up with all these characters, none of them get to do anything. And this actually leads into the pinnacle point of my discussion, or point number 1, which is the main new characters that got so much screen time, excluding Nook, because Nook is Hook, and we love Colin O'Donoghue. So Nook, as new as he is, he doesn't count. But for new characters, Robin and Alice really stole the spotlight for the new characters. It was really Regina's story and Rumple's story, which was fantastic because, in the essence, Rumple and Regina have been there since the beginning. Technically, Henry has been there as well, but that's Andrew J. West, like Jared Gilmore. So, the episode for new was Robin, Alice, Robin, Alice, Robin, Alice, and then for old, it was Regina, Rumple, Regina, Rumple, Regina, Rumple. And I gotta say, I wasn't a huge fan of Alice. I know a lot of you guys were fans of Alice. Originally, I thought she was going to be great, but then as she progressed with her story, I was kind of like, okay, I'm not a huge fan. There was something about her acting, but it wasn't as bad as Danya Ramirez. Yes, the hashtag Danya Ramirez shot there, I know. I mean, she wasn't a bad actress. There was just something about Rose Reynolds I just couldn't get behind. Though I do say she's a very good face acting, very expressive. So, and then, as I said earlier, there was a complete absence, of Cinderella, Lucy, and Tiana. I think Cinderella got like 2 lines. Lucy, I don't even think she spoke. And poor Tiana got nothing. And again, this season hyped up Tiana, Cinderella, not so much Lucy, but Lucy was supposed to be a big deal. Like, she was supposed to be, the second Henry. And you just get nothing from that. And it's just like, what? Why? Like, why? Like, I mean, I am happy, I gotta say, that Cinderella and Lucy had, less screen time, but, because I covered all the marketing, I was like, Jesus, this is just not cool, because you are just sidelining these characters. And you can see as you watch these episodes, if you guys watch the episodes more than once, and if you watch season 7 again, you'll notice that Cinderella gets sidelined several times. So this episode, that was really about the old characters, because honestly, sorry, my hair is a mess. I apologize. I know I keep playing with it, but it keeps moving, and I can't think of the best way to style it. So I might be playing with it a little bit throughout this video. Now, this episode, like I said, Cinderella, Lucy, and Tiana were essentially absent because it didn't do too much. It really focused on Robin and Alice, and I will just mention for the last thing, Robin and Alice got engaged, which I think is adorable, but we'll never get to see that wedding. And I loved how at the round table discussion that I think it was, I forget if it was not Hook, Charming or Snow. It was one of the two. I mean, they're kind of a combined unit, so honestly, I don't really think it matters because they're such a tight knit unit. But one of them said, you know, people who are minus of old ones, which is in reference to Nook, and then it's like the new generation. I thought that was really special. So that was the big thing with those are the big things with the my God, sorry for all the yums. That was the major part for the new characters, and you know they were there. They were definitely there. They were relatively important because if it wasn't for Robin Alice's role in the beginning to alert Storybrooke, we wouldn't have gotten Zelena, Snow, and Charming in the Wish Realm. So now let's talk about the cameos. So there was a couple cameos. There was Leroy. There was Granny. I gotta say Zelena was definitely a cameo. It was like 2-3 scenes, but it wasn't enough to be an impact. But like that's like it's odd for me to call it a cameo because she did have a very strong role. It felt very much like a cameo. We also had the Blue Fairy, and we had Robin Hood, and we had Belle. So the Dwarfs cameo, with Leroy, etc., and Granny, I was like, okay, it's just nice to see them. Like Lee Arnberg, Beverly Elliott, they're fantastic. They're great. They were beautiful in the first 6 seasons. It's nice to see them again. That's it, because then they were gone. I think they might have been in the chapel when Regina was coronated. Zelena had a little bit more impact because she had that nice sister moment at the end of the episode, which I was a fan of, and she had a nephew moment, an aunt-nephew moment with her, with Henry. I think both of them actually, but that was really it. And we'll talk about Robin Hood as I go through the list because I'm going to talk about the plot as well. And then there was the Blue Fairy cameo, and I gotta say that was oddly depressing. A couple of you had said that Joanna Garcia, Swisher, Peter Pan, and Cruella were going to be in this episode. Clearly, they were not. Let's not count the stock footage. That doesn't count. They were not in the episode. Like Cruella, I think, had some stock footage, and that doesn't count as actually being in the episode. Like it wasn't new. So then this isn't so much a cameo, but Jared Gilmore, they really did bring him back, and he did do a lot. I think that in scenes where he wasn't like, he was good, but then there were he was not good. Excuse me, those were not good scenes. But then when he was being happy with Regina towards the end of the episode, I thought that was really well done. I'm very confused of what year they're in. My last note was the time travel aspect of the show is super confusing, and I completely stand by that because I don't understand where they are unless Regina's new curse sped them up in time and we have just older Henry, and that Zelena that was there at the coronation was cursed. Not the curse is broken, but the Zelena that became Kelly. Because if not, there's 3 Henrys. That means during 2017 you have Henry and Storybrooke, you have Wishbone Henry, you have older Henry. Like I just don't know where they are, and it's very odd because they never established if the Dark Curse brought them to the proper timeline, which I don't think it did, because you see baby Emma, or baby you see Hook and Emma with the baby. And we'll talk about that in a minute as well. So because of the introduction of the baby being a baby, and when Emma told Henry she was pregnant, that was technically, I would wager, 2017. I mean, every year is 12 months, so she could have had the baby in October. I don't really know the dates of 2017. They said they're in 2017. I don't mean to keep harping on that, and the baby was little, like it wasn't like a toddler. So, and since Emma told Henry she was pregnant, and then that realm time moves faster, it's like just like gigantic disaster of a time concept. And I really feel that even my discussion of it is very difficult to digest. But essentially, I don't think they're in the right time they should be in to match up to what Lucy's age should be. Lucy's roughly 8, even if I can't even explain it beyond that. I don't know where they are anymore, or if there should be 3 Henrys. So the writing, I gotta say, that's a huge issue with the season, and also it's affected the series for me, the series finale for me, because it's like, well, where are you? Now, I want to get back to the cameo again. I'm sorry. The Blue Fairy had a cameo. Oh, I feel so bad for Keegan Tracy. She's such a good actress. I really like her. I thought the Blue Fairy would have had a fantastic role in this episode. She should have come back earlier to confront Gothel. That would have been really nice. The Blue Fairy just, they always just bring her back to do mean things to her, and I never understood why. And she got stuck in a book, and that was that was kind of it for the poor blue fairy. And then I'm assuming she got out. So then also one last thing before we get into the plot part of it. This video is going to be a little while. So a lot of you had said in the comments of the live review, why don't curses when the caster dies get undone? And I just don't know the concept. I know in a lot of other magical shows, when a person dies, their magic should be undone. So ergo, Gothel might not be dead because she's a tree and trees are alive, which is why, you know, Hook is still hurting every time he gets close to Alice, which is the only reason I could think of that. But if Gothel was dead, would it become undone? So then, you know, I imagine after Blue was pulled into the book that Wishram Henry undid it. It would just make sense. I don't think you want to keep her in there. So it's very the concept of magic and who is able to break it after one dies. I don't know. Or if magic breaks after someone dies, it's very difficult to gauge on the show because again the writing has been so all over the place. All right, so plot now, because I essentially feel that we discovered or discussed everything. So the plot, we have Henry, Nook, Lucy, Jacinda, Rumple all trapped in the snow globe. They want to get out. They want to protect Regina because Regina is in danger via Wishram Rumple and Wishram Henry. There's Maui's fishhook, and at first, when I had to watch this episode 3 times to figure out where Maui's fishhook came from, and I realized that somehow Alice put in there, but didn't in the last episode they wrote there is no more guardian, so wouldn't Alice's magic vanish with it? I don't know if her guardian magic is connected to her witchcraft. I just figured it was all gone. I didn't think Alice had magic anymore because like she grabbed her heart and like felt so bad. I thought it was gone. Apparently not. How did Alice know where the hook was? Like how do you proof something somewhere if you don't know where it is? Again, I think it's a little odd. But it got in there, it got them out. It was nice to have the Moana reference one more time. Quite frankly, Moana should have been on the show, but they probably couldn't get the rights from Disney proper. So, you know, they were in the globe, they get out, which is great. And then, as I said, Regina is in trouble with Henry and Rumple, and while she's waiting to essentially be sentenced to death, she has this flashback, this dream, not a flashback, excuse me. The show is so used to flashbacks, I'm very used to saying that. She has this like kind of dream experience where Sean McGuire comes back and he's Robin Hood, and it was nice. But it really shows that the idea of Facilier with her is irrelevant. It was definitely a fling or like a one-night stand. It wasn't anything of importance, and that Robin Hood is her true love. So I did feel like it gave closure to Outlaw Queen fans that in fact Robin Hood is her true love. She will always love him. And I have a feeling if the show ever got to season 8, she would still stay single. I don't think she'd end up having a boyfriend, or even if they decided to do a Ruby story, you know, where they decide to make her bisexual, I don't think she would even want to have a girlfriend. I think she would really rather remain single. That also just kind of seems like Regina's giving. I think just having 2 Henrys, you know, because Wishram Henry stays with her, we'll talk about that in a minute, is enough for her. She has a lot of family, which is fantastic. You know, not everyone needs a significant other, as long as you, because adoption's a great, you know, all your in-laws and your not in-laws, all your relatives, and then it just becomes extended family. It's a great idea. I mean, her family is so big because she was a stepmom. So Regina is sentenced to death, and you know she's in the cell. She has this dream with Robin Hood, and then she wakes up and she sees Wishram Henry, she sees original Henry, excuse me. And original Henry is trying to save her, and then he gets attacked by the Black Knights, and then 2 of the Black Knights happen to be Snow and Charming. They're like, we're here to save you, we're back, it's the originals. It's like, awesome. And I'm like, cool. Do something interesting. You haven't done anything really interesting since season 3. And they don't really. They just kind of make their speeches, and it's nice. It was nice to see Jennifer Goodwin and Josh Dallas. They also were really in a cameo role here. They didn't have a big impact on the show, because after we get the Hope speech, they split up, and Regina goes to confront Wishram Henry, and then the rest confront Wishram Rumple. And Regina, she's sword fighting him, and he's angry, and his anger then causes all the portals to open up, because apparently, per Wishram Rumpelstiltskin, if the author, his emotions can now make magic as opposed to pen and ink. And that's like a really weird concept, because even in the underworld, they needed the ink and the pen. It was a big deal that you needed ink. Henry's pure anger shouldn't have been enough, which I think that makes fans angry that they're just retconning their canon all over the place here. And I really don't think it can be defended that it's good, because they said that to write, you need pen and ink. Authors just, look, if it was established that authors can conjure without needing to write, that would have been fine. But to make it stick, you need the pen and ink, and that just didn't happen. So like they broke the canon again. It's like, come on, guys, let's not do that. So Wish from Rumple is like the whole time, and it's hilarious. I gotta admit, that was absolutely hilarious. I loved it. Alice is getting sucked in. Nook doesn't want her to go. He grabs her, and then you know, Regina's able to convince Wish from Henry that everything's fine. And she does, and it's beautiful. Like, Regina's acting is beautiful. Lana Parrilla is perfect here. Robert Carlyle is perfect here. I loved it. And don't worry, we'll talk about the other cameo I missed that I know a lot of you are probably saying, wait, there was one other cameo! And so, because Regina is a mom, and she calms him down, because Wish from Henry's having a temper tantrum, because she calms him down, all the portals close, because again, apparently, author magic can conjure up portals to trap them. Whatever. So then, Wish from Rumple comes back, and then Wish from Rumple is there, and then Rumple confronts him, and then Wish from Rumple grabs him and tries to choke him, and then it doesn't really work, and then Wish from Rumple is like, yay, I'm gonna win, and then, you know, Weaver, original Rumple, looks at Nook, who's dying, takes out his heart, the darkness goes away because he makes a sacrifice, and then Wish from Rumple dies because original Rumple puts his heart into Nook so that Nook can have Alice and Robin in his life and still live. And that was very touching. It's beautiful. But what I don't understand is how, when the original Rumple died, why did Wish from Rumple die? I don't get the connection. Now, because Rumple originally is a dark one, and then Wish from Rumple is a dark one. But it never was established that if one dark one dies, they all die. Like, that just doesn't make sense. So again, it's odd. And then in the Wish from, in last week's episode, we saw Wish from Cruella and Wish from Peter Pan. We also saw Wish from Apprentice, or Mickey Mouse, as I call him. And all of them in the Wish realm were alive, but their original counterparts are dead. So I don't understand why killing Weaver Rumple ended up killing Wish from Rumple. It makes no sense. Again, bad writing. And this is really where the fluke lies. It's the writing. It was rushed. You needed more time. And speaking of time, what the show really needed to essentially, I really feel, map this episode out is season 7 needed an extra hour just to solve these problems that I've been pointing out throughout this entire review. Because if it didn't, because it doesn't exist, it leaves a lot more questions. It makes you wonder, because if you've never seen once and then you binge it, you'll be very aware of its canon and then be like, it broke so many times in 7. And it makes you feel like 7's a waste because they just don't care. And I think it hurts it. So, you know, back to the plot, poor Rumpelstiltskin dies. And he's reunited with Belle, and then Regina's looking over his body. And I love the speech that Regina gave to Rumple. I thought that was beautiful. Like I said, Rumple was reunited with Belle, and it was very nice to see Emily DeRaven back. I loved how he was dressed up in that outfit. It was great to see Belle in her yellow dress. I thought that was absolutely fantastic. And then, you know, they go off into, I would assume, the afterlife, and it was very beautiful. And then Regina does one more dark curse, making this dark curse 8 or 9, doesn't matter. But it's really not the dark curse because she calls it a blueprint for another curse. And she does call it a curse, but it seems more light, like maybe it was a light spell. And she then, she talks about how everything needs to be separate, no longer separate. Everyone needs to come together. And she makes this curse, and it joins everything together. And, you know, you have Arendelle in Storybrooke, you have Camelot in Storybrooke. I don't know if you saw the Brave Castle, but I'm pretty sure that they brought in that. So you see Agrabah. All of these beautiful nations and realms that we saw get together. And that way, because the original concept of the show, if you think about it, is finding each other. It's, you know, hope and finding each other and being together and family. And this way, they can never be separate again because they're going to live in Storybrooke Disneyland. They created Disneyland. It's adorable, and I loved it. And it was done through Regina. And I really did enjoy that idea. Again, I wish that idea was pulled into the season 6 finale because it still would have had the idea of, like, you could have done like a flip through of the pages and showed Anna and Elsa. You could have showed Merida and her parents. You could have shown, just our characters, like our main ones, all together in the book, you know, and then other characters from the other realms, like Aladdin and Jasmine, Ariel and Eric. It would have just been really, really beautiful in the book sense of it, and then shutting the book. But I do love the idea that, you know, Regina's curse worked, and it didn't take people apart, it brought them together. And so, you know, they're in Storybrooke, and Maleficent is mentioned. We get a Maleficent mentioned by Zelina, who's driving to Regina to her surprise coronation. And Regina and Regina and Zelina are talking, and she's like, "Oh yeah, Maleficent's a dragon." We also saw a little cameo of Tinkerbell, and she goes, "Oh yeah, Maleficent's dragon, and Lily found her father, and it's Zorro." And apparently there was a rights issue to not do Zorro, or which led to them not being able to do Zorro for the Lily storyline. I just don't think they had time to fit it in. I don't think Agnes, the actor who plays it, I blanked on her last name, but I forget her first name is Agnes. I think the actress that played Lily couldn't come. I know that she ended up having a baby, so she had to take time off from maternity leave and the like. And then maybe they were like, well, we're way past the Lily storyline at this point. It doesn't make sense to add it back. So a shout out is enough. Personally, I'm glad they did it, but at the same time, I really hate shout outs as opposed to showing. And again, apparently the Zorro thing was right. So you could have done another character besides Zorro. I think it would have been great. It would have been hilarious if it was Dracula. I wish we got to see Dracula once upon a time. But yeah, so the Lily Maleficent storyline was finally solved. And then we get to the coronation, and then we have Snow White and Prince Charming, and they're coronating her, Regina, and Regina's like, "Is everyone here?" And Snow White goes, "There's problems with I think the baby was fussy." And I'm like, oh, the baby! And this is, again, I talked about the baby a little bit and why it's so weird with the times, but then Emma comes in with her red jacket on, and she goes, "Sorry I'm late," just like how Regina said, "Sorry I'm late," in the opening of the pilot, or the second, third scene of the pilot, one of the main scenes of the pilot. And she's wearing her red leather jacket, she has the baby, she has Hook. It's fantastic, and I was in love with it. And then it shows, I feel that the interaction between Emma and Regina in that scene was just a nod out to just people who love them as friends, maybe a little bit of Swan Queen, not 100% sure there, but it was lovely. So then they're there, and then everyone is there in the room, and they all cheer. I had said in one of my videos I thought one of the best endings would be to have Zelina and Henry at Regina's side and have them go "Long live the Queen," and that essentially is what I got. And I was really happy about that. One of my predictions came true. It wasn't Enchanted Forest, but essentially the Enchanted Forest came to us. And Regina became queen of the United Realms. It kind of became like a United States, United Nations thing, and I love that. And that was the end. Emma's cameo was very small. I was a little bummed out about that. Belle's cameo made sense. And everyone essentially got their happy ending by being together. And this review is very long. It's almost as long as my live review. Like I said, I had tons of notes to go through. So it was a good episode. I think the season did feel a bit hollow in the sense of it, because I never talked about Cinderella beyond the beginning of this review. So there was definitely things it missed, but overall I was pleased with the finale. I think it was one of the better episodes of the show. In fact, if I did a ranking, it would probably be number one for the 7 episodes. Not to spoil it, but as I'm thinking about what episodes I think are the best, I really think 7 is 22 is the best. But I liked what I saw. It felt wholesome. The show is over, and that's a little bit of a bummer for fans, but I think it ended on just the perfect note. So before I finish off the video and say goodbye, I want to just thank all of you for watching. I really, really appreciate it. It's been a great ride. What I wanted to talk really quick about is I started a channel in 2008 called Rob52XBHS, where I made animated videos, and I focused on Sailor Moon, and then I moved to Disney, and I learned how to edit with animation. I was using Windows programs like Sony Vegas. I use an iMac now. I use Adobe Premiere to edit, but I learned how to edit to that. I learned things about animation. I would buy DVDs and Blu-rays, listen to audio commentaries, to really study the whole concept of this stuff, the concept of filmmaking, everything. I really wanted to learn how to animate, how to create film. I self-taught. I did a lot of preparation for this, and then but that channel sadly got deleted because of a stupid copyright strike. And then I made it the Robert, and then like I said, I kept making the animation videos, and then I was like, you know what, it's time to make the live action, me discussing videos, and I did. And then Once Upon a Time kind of took off, and when I started doing it in 2014, or yeah, it was 14 is when I started to review the show, because I think the first live review I did was a Blu-ray review of the Little Mermaid 3D collection, which I think is hilarious, because I look back on that and I used a green screen when I filmed. I don't advise using green screens when you film. It's very tacky, at least for YouTube videos. YouTube videos are so much better when I really feel when they're just like this. So then, I made those videos. My first Once Upon a Time video was the Frozen episode, and then I just kept going, and it was awesome. And I covered season 4. I covered other shows periodically, and I've changed. Like, this show has had a massive impact on my life. I made it, like I said, I made a lot of videos. I lost a lot of weight. I felt I was very heavy, and I became a very fast runner. I run like around a 30-minute mile now, which is awesome. I love running that fast. Not to promote running, but it's just a fantastic thing. I love it. So I just wanted to just talk about that really quick. That this has been a Once Upon a Time has been with me since I started. It's been with me since I started watching, but like with the YouTube and the covering and talking to all you guys in the comments and on other social medias, it's been a huge deal for me. It's really been impactful on my life. I went to law school. I graduated this year. I'm going to take the bar in July. It's exciting and horrifying. So I graduated the same year Once Upon a Time ended and the same year Scandal ended, which is also, it's like sad because I'm losing things I really love, but at the same time, it's just, another door closes, another one is going to open. So that is really that. In terms of what I'm going to do for the channel next, because I no longer have law school, I did school at night and day. I did many classes. I accelerate. It was originally. You guys don't truly need to know all the details, but I did night classes and day classes just because I also work full time. So I wanted to make sure, I used to work full time, then I work part time to finish law school faster. I'm ranting now, but I did a lot of classes, so I would be in class at 8 o'clock at night, and I would get home, and I couldn't just bring myself to watch TV. I wanted to go to bed. So that's kind of what was going on there. And then, but now, because I don't have law school at night or in the day, I'm trying to think of what shows to do next. I might start focusing more on Marvel movies, though. With 2018, there's really only one left. But I'm watching Grey's Anatomy to kill some time. I might start covering Grey's, and I think I might go back to the DC shows. If there's other shows you want me to cover that I'm going to air once a week, let me know as well. I feel like I've gotten a lot, but definitely keep sending them. Send them to the direct message on YouTube. I do check that, and it's a good way for me to keep notes. So anyway, guys, like I said, Grey's are coming up, probably the superhero shows. I'll cover movies. There's things. Comic-Con will be a big deal, too. I'll also cover the Comic-Con news and anything really Disney-related. Frozen 2. Be a big deal. Wreck-It Ralph 2. I'll be reviewing. So, guys, this is it. Long review. Thank you all for watching. I appreciate it. I hope you all enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed the finale. I hope you enjoyed my take on it. I'm looking forward to reading your discussion. I hope you watched the live review. I made over an hour worth of Once Upon a Time base for just a series finale. So anyway, guys, thank you for watching, and we'll talk to you soon.